This computer. Okay. All right, folks, thanks very much for dialing in. My name is Steven Moody, or Coach Steve, award-winning triathlon coach, coach of the year 2015. We'll bring that up later on. But I'm here to help talk you guys through a little bit of kind of training tips and because of how the course will work for your corporate relay in DCT. And we also have Simon Montgomery as well, who is the race director, who will give us a bit more info on it. And we will take any questions you have, and we're here to help you as well. So let's get into it. Yeah, so quick welcome. That's me. I'm going to talk. Simon's going to talk through the race. I'll introduce Simon in 1 second. And again, I'm going to talk through what you should be doing in the next couple of weeks, what you should do the day before the race, and some tips on how to get a really good race on the race day. Closing remarks, we'll take questions to go. Simon, do you want to have a quick intro of yourself?
Sure. Simon Montgomery is my name. I am race director along with Cahill Sullivan and Albert Owen involved and Adam Goslin have been involved in organising the corporate relay side of things. I have been doing triathlon for over 15 years. I get to call myself a triathlete, but I'm not really that much of a triathlete. I just like talking to Steve Moody a lot and him telling me what to do. Um, this is my first year. Um, this is my first year as race director. I haven't been assistant race director last year. So I'm the same for Cahill. So I think my volume might not be great. But that's me. When I figure that out.
Okay, cool. Thanks and thanks for the opportunity, Simon. Okay, so back to our agenda. Just a little bit of there's something to get you excited about the race day. This is a video we did from last year. Turn the volume down a little bit on that.
They're meant to be sound with that.
He's sped it up, Steve. Are you
Turn it
just
up.
going through that quickly on purpose? There's no sound coming through on that.
Okay.
Uh, we might share the deck afterwards anyway, Steve, so people can have a look at the video. But this just gives people a sense of the race last year, which was obviously European Cup. Which is all very exciting. And we had a number of course changes out of that as well.
Yeah.
So hopefully people will be able to get a sense of what the race was like for us last year.
Yeah. And just before I know that was more to whet your appetites, but also we don't want to worry anybody because that, by the way, those are the elites you saw. So you saw there was a big mass start and you saw people very close on bikes and a lot of very fast people. Those are top end under 23 athletes who are at the pointy end of the game. Those guys will end up the Olympics. Not saying you guys won't make it to the Olympics, but don't worry, we don't expect you to be as fast as them. But they raced on the exact same course as was in different layout, but the same water, same bike course, same run course. And if it's good enough for the under 20, was it the elite of the under 23? You guys are going to have a super day out. Okay, so just a couple of questions. Please stick a video on. It's good to see people. And if you have questions as we go along, stick them in the chat. We will periodically stop and pick them up. And on that basis, there is absolutely no such thing as a silly question. Well, actually, there is thing as a silly question if you don't ask it and you turn up on the race day and you're a bit confused. So here's your chance to hop into the race director, a world-class coach like myself. So be curious, be brave. Okay? So, do you want to talk through the quick sort of high-level admin on this one, Time, or?
Sure, no worries at all. And just to Steve's point in terms of questions, when you arrive at the venue on race day, all of the volunteers will be they'll all be wearing either high vis vests or they'll be wearing specific event hoodies. They are there to answer your questions. As part of the corporate offering, you're also gonna have your own person to help you out on the day. So I know that John has been allocated to the Mercer team. So John, I know you're the only person on from Mercer, so you're helping yourself out right now. Owen Ingerfeld, who's on the call there as well, is kind of head of the corporate relay. So he'll also be there on the day. But just in terms of, well, where is it? Everything takes place at the Garda Boat Club down in the Chapel Lizard Road, right beside the Phoenix Park and on the Upper Liffey. Registration for the event is between 4 p.m. on Friday the 23rd and 8 p.m. And then on Saturday the 24th, from 7 a.m. to 8:15 a.m. You have to go to registration. Now, with the corporate relays, we only require one person to register to go up and collect the numbers for everybody, the race chips, the swim cap for the swimmer, and any of the goodie bags that have been allocated to you guys. The first races will start in around 9:15 a.m. Between 9:15 a.m. and 10, which is the sprint. There is a race on before that, which is the standard event. So you've got the standard, which is longer than the sprint. The standard is a 1,500-meter swim, a 40K cycle, thereabouts, and a 10K run. The sprint athletes then, which is a national series event, will go off at about 10 o'clock. And then the corporate relay swimmers and the aquabike participants will go off just before the try participants. So we hope to have everybody in and out of the water between 9 and 11 o'clock. If you want to roll it there, Roisin, please.
Okay, well, we're not even going to mention the fact that we had Leo Vradkar as one of our alumni.
That's very true.
A guy, he does a little bit of ball ticking, but he's a friend of ours.
In terms of the course, so obviously you're going to be starting off with a swim. We are, for anybody that's done this race before, we're changing the route slightly. So as I mentioned, we're going to be going with the sprints directly after the standard event. Rather than going downriver towards Island Bridge, we're actually going to be going upriver, I think it's about 150 meters, turning left at the buoys, and then swimming downriver for the bulk of it. So it's about 300 meters. And then back up river, so turning left again, and then back up river and into swim out. So that's about 750 meters in total. There, I'll go through some of the pointers in relation to the swim. There is a cutoff on the swim; it's 30 minutes, and that's for safety. That's for safety reasons. So while wearing a wetsuit is mandatory, when you go past 30 minutes in the water, you start to risk hypothermia. It doesn't matter whether you're wearing a wetsuit or not. So we have to, in the interest of safety for you as a swimmer, and then anybody else, you may get asked to get out of the water. You might be pulled out of the water. So that's just on the swim. Then you move into transition, which we'll go through after this, if that's right. But when you go through transition, you will pass your chip on to the person that's going to be on the bike. They will put that chip on their left ankle, and they will go to bike out. They will go past the mount line, which is there. Just Stephen was very helpfully pointing out with his laser dot. And then you will go out and you will do 3 laps of the bike course. Now, again, anybody that did the bike course last year will notice that we've changed the direction. So rather than going left out of transition, you're actually going right out of transition. So you'll go down towards the Island Bridge Gate. You will turn left in the Island Bridge Gate, and you will go up the Khyber Pass. That's about the most bit of climbing that you're going to end up doing as part of the race. It's a bit of a drag. So you go up the road, you go onto a wide path, then you're out towards Chesterfield Avenue onto Acres Road. There's the left there. And then you'll come straight back down, all the way back down past Cheshire Homes and St. Mary's Hospital, back out onto the Chapel Lizard Road. You'll go left, and then you'll go and repeat that twice more. Once you come in off twice more.
Sorry, so, 3 times in total, though, in the same.
Yeah, correct. 3 times. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you. So then you'll see there's a dismount line on the bike course. You will dismount your bike. You will run back into transition. You will rack your bike, and then you'll run to the person that is doing the run and pass them the timing chip, which they will also have to put on their left ankle. I know it sounds odd that I'm being quite specific about the ankle, but that's actually the way in which the timing mats are set up because it tends to be people's lead leg. For the run, it's really simple. It's 2 laps of 2.5 kilometers. You go out of transition, out onto the Chapel Lizard Road. You'll go left, run up towards Donora Harriers. You will go into Donora Harriers. You will do 1 lap of the course, come out of Donora Harriers track, back down again. You'll go on the turnaround point again and repeat it. So you will do that twice. One of the things that we are doing this year is we are also having a timed fastest lap on the track down at Donora Harriers. So there will be prizes for the fastest lap. So the person that has the fastest time around that. So the timing mat will be on entry onto the track, which is just there, as Steven says, it shows, and it will time you off when you come off it. We'll move on to transition now. So, okay. So
just one other point as well.
Sorry, go on. Yes,
you have the timing chip on your left ankle as well. It means it's away from your bicycle chain as well. And
yep.
Get caught in that. So there's also another logic point on that. All right.
Okay. So this doesn't look as fancy as our other maps because we're still working out exactly, I suppose, the positioning of where the standard race is going to be, because we're going to have a split transition this year. But just to give you a sense of, we talked about the swim out. So you get out of the water, swim in, you run up the side of the Liffey, you turn right, you go down the end of transition, you will turn right, and then you will run up towards the top, grab your bike. I'll go backwards. Yeah. I'm thinking of it as if I was in it. You'll hand over your chip at this point here. That person will then go and take their bike. Their helmets should already be on their head or at their bikes. For those people that are on the bike, you are not allowed to touch your bike until your helmet is on your head and clipped. There will be Triathlon Ireland officials in transition making sure that you don't do it. It is for safety reasons that you're not allowed to touch the bike. Okay, so then you'll take your bike, you'll go to the other end of transition, and you will follow the blue line to bike out. Then you'll go off and you'll do your 3 laps. All right, Steve? You'll go off and you'll do your 3 laps, and then you'll come back in to bike in. You will rack your bike, and then you will run over and you will hand over the chip to the runner. Then the runner will go out to run out, and they will go off and they will do their 2 laps. And that's the key points of the race. A couple of things I just noted last year in relation to the racking of bikes for all participants, and especially for corporate participants, your bike must be racked against your number. Your bike doesn't get racked in the corporate area. You don't leave it with you and take it with you when someone hands over the chip. It's the same as if an individual was actually doing the entire triathlon. It's just what you're passing is the chip. All right. When you finish the race, you all get to cross the line together. There are certain organizations that we're not going to promote on this call that do not allow you to cross the line together. We do. So you can run hand in hand. You can run one behind each other, but that's invariably to get the best. What's the word I'm looking for? Best photographs as well, and bragging rights. So, one thing I probably forgot is just in relation to the mount and dismount line. Steve, do you want to go back one slide just for a sec at the bike, please?
I'm trying to. Let me go back. Oh, hang on. 1 second. I need to switch up.
Just while you're waiting to do that, Steve, just as like an observation here, just kind of as a club member and a participant and kind of organising the corporate relay event in our job. First of all, just to note there are lots of other people from Mercer on the call now, so I'm not by myself. But One thing that like this is super overwhelming, I'm finding on the day, it's much more straightforward than this.
Yeah.
Like, it's not, please don't, people don't think you have to be here scribbling notes and like this will all be explained in the morning. It's much more straightforward and makes much more sense when you're actually around the transition area and seeing it all in real life.
Yeah, and
I
again,
think that
just to echo what John's saying there, like as John pointed out, there's lots of marshals here. We're here to help you. If you have questions, everyone will know the course. And the good thing as well, as in you'll always have someone to follow, as in like it flows quite sensibly, as in just follow the person in front of you and just wait till just before the finish line and then sprint past them. That's all you need. But it is quite seamless. But again, if you have questions, concerns, throw them up here, or as I said on the day, where's exactly do I go with the hand over the chip if you've forgotten it? We'll be more than happy to answer questions, and all of us there will be wearing bibs, well, to help out. But good point, John.
I can definitely support the point about making sure your helmet is on before you touch the bike, because I actually got a yellow card on the weekend on Sunday for not putting on my helmet in transition. So that is super important.
But John, was that also the fact you were abusive and sort of start threatening
No,
the
I
referee?
know it's schoolboy. I know, Steve. I deserve the abuse. I deserve
Yeah.
it.
Like it's not you new.
No, I actually get a yellow card most races.
Okay, Simon, do you have a deal? You're going to mention the mount and the dismount line?
so just in terms of the mount and dismount line, you have to be past the mount line before you get on your bike. For those people that are on the bike, and you have to be off your bike before you come to the dismount line. Again, there will be loads of marshals that will help you and tell you when you can and can't get on. John made a really good point about it being overwhelming. Um, if you just break it down into the fact that most of you are just going to have to do one discipline, so that's the only thing that you need to think about. If you think about the fact that John's probably going to be doing the swim for a couple of you, John will pass over the tag for the Mercer people. They will then go and get their bike, run out, mount the bike after the mount line, and then come back in and dismount the bike before the dismount line. And then all the runner has to do is go and run. So it is overwhelming. But it isn't as bad as if you were doing it all yourself. So, but again, can't say it enough times. There is going to be loads of people around to help and answer questions. John is going to be there as well. Owen will be around. Myself and Cathal are going to be floating around between different areas. So and Steve, you'll definitely hear Steve before you see him. But like we'll all be there to help out. So, and any questions, and Steve's already said it, any questions that anybody has after this session, or if they want to have a chat, please don't hesitate to reach out. And we're here to help. So.
And speaking of questions, a couple popped in. There's a question: are there uniforms or dress code? What you will need to wear if you're on the swim, you'll need your wetsuit. If you're on the bike, you'll need your own cycling gear, bicycle shoes, and helmet as well. Whatever you've been training in is good enough to actually race in. So I would, and again, I'll talk about this in a little bit in the what you need to do. Runners, whatever you run in normally, as in like if you've got Alpha Flies, if you've got your no pair of runners, if you've got if you like to run in a Liverpool jersey that's been signed by the 2005 Champions League team, you can run in that too. But there is no, people will turn up and they'll all be wearing different things but wear whatever's comfortable to you. So there's no uniform or dress code. But yes, and you also need to have all your own equipment in terms of we don't provide any equipment on the day. There's a question there, do I need to bring my own helmet? Sorry, so yes, you do. Is that okay there, Simon?
That's perfect. If that, I think that came in from Val, did it?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, thanks,
ID Pal are providing t-shirts as well, for participants. So they're in a big box in the office at the moment. So, okay, so that's the kind of the transition. That area that you see in front of you, just for if anyone ever hears anyone talking, is called the field of play. So that's kind of the field of play as the entire race area, but it also is the kind of the race village as well. A couple of things to point out that aren't on this particular map. There'll be food, as we know, as part of the offering that's provided, and lots of activity down. I see where
Steve has his pointer. There'll be lots of activity down around there because all the clubs bring their own gazebos, and there'll be ice cream on the day as well. I know that our headline sponsor might be on at the moment, and they're very kindly providing ice creams as well. Which is always very exciting for everybody. One other point that I forgot to raise, and it shouldn't impact everybody directly on this call, but we're all running a kids race before the standard race starts. So it's a running race that'll start from basically from the finish line, and it'll go out onto the road and back around and finish on the finish line as well. So if anybody has any children that they might bring along today, if you go on to the Eventmaster website, I suppose the DCT Eventmaster site, you'd be able to register your kids. We've got a total of 50 entries for kids, as it's our first year doing it. So,
yeah. Cool. One question's popped up. For those only doing one discipline, do we have to be there at 9 a.m. as well? Absolutely. You're racing as a team, so only one person has to register, but you guys need to get together at the same time, figure out where people stand, walk the course. So you can't just turn up late if you're doing the run. As in, what happens if you turn up completely late and your cyclist comes in and there's no one to hand over the chip, you'll let the team down. So yes, you need to get there all together at the same time.
the other thing that it's probably worth pointing out in relation to, I suppose, race day in of itself. So there's a car park. Do you see where the arrow is there? The big arrow on the left. In there is St. Brendan's. That's invariably where we have the car parking, which is around the pitch. There's also parking available up in the Phoenix Park. We are not able to open up transition again until the last cyclist has come back in and the runner is back out in the road. So you cannot take your bikes out. Bikes, unfortunately, have to stay in transition until the last cyclist is in. And then the road is closed until the last runner is in. So we have an application in to close the entire Chapel Lizard Road. So just to be conscious of that. So if you need to get away early, park in the Phoenix Park.
Yeah. But also just a key point there. There's lots of fun things to be doing. There's lots of food. There's lots of great crack to be had. Atmosphere you'll be talking about with your teammates. So don't be in a rush heading off. Yes, you'll have access to the car park. And that, by the way, that's another good reason to get there early. You want to get a nice car park, not be stressed, because a lot of people turn up at 7:30 and the car park's full and they have to post them elsewhere. This is the prime real estate because it's park. You can just walk across with your bike and your kit. Really easy. Get there early. Plan to hang around. As in, we always guarantee sunny weather for DCT. It's part of the contract. Or all you no, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it, Simon. So, but again, that's why we put on food. You'll talk to your club mates, to your colleagues, etc. So, and you'll get to see what triathlon community is all about. We're not all weirdos that run around in lycra and swim in wetsuits. We're actually good crack. So do plan to hang around. That's also part of the whole event. Okay. Anything else, Simon, or will I give it a bit of coachy chat?
If there's no other questions on the course, the route, and if there is, please feel free to reach out, and we'll answer any questions. So, yeah, I think over to you, Coach Steve.
Is that via the DCT email, or where would they direct questions?
We can take questions over our Instagram site. Owen will pass them on. Or you can go to Dublin City Triathlon at gmail.com and send us a question through there. So
I hear YouTube's very big this weather. Sorry, and then Cahill's just put the email there in case you have any questions. And again, but also don't be afraid to ask. And something might pop into your head after this, which is great because, as I said, John said we might be overwhelming you. I really want you to walk away with the sense we're trying to support you. A lot of info here, but we've been doing this for years, which is great for you guys because on the race day, we'll exactly help you through it. And we'll turn you into full triathletes as well. It's our mission. It's kind of a cult. Okay.
Could I ask a quick one? Sorry, do you mind if I ask just, is there a time limit on the cycle?
That's a very good question. There is, but it's generous enough. So it's for the sprint, it's over an hour. So it's just over an hour.
Grant, and in the event you were to get a yellow card, although I'll try not to like John, what are the consequences of a yellow card?
You lose your job.
Slagging John again, I think is probably one of them because of rookie mistake. It's usually a time penalty. Invariably, it is very, 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 very unlikely, as in almost non-existent, that you're going to get a yellow card unless you do something really bad,
Okay.
like
abusive to volunteers. That's where we probably give them out. But otherwise, yeah, we also accept that you guys are new. You're so the people. If anything, the referee will stop and go you. As in, if you try to touch it, I said no, stop. I want you to, and they'll talk to you for 30 seconds. Do you realize why we're getting you to fasten your helmet before you touch the bike? And then you say go, and then you go, what my penalty? Well, you've just served us 30 seconds. We tend to try and be very beginner friendly, and we work this out with the technical officials. So yes, but I do like the way you're thinking about getting your first yellow card, Alwyn.
Yeah, don't worry, Alwyn. We'll be doing some lunchtime bike training anyway. You won't be worrying about any cut-off times. The yellow cards, we'll probably have to do some training for that anyway.
I think that's called anger management, isn't it?
Helmet management.
Yes.
Great. Thanks, Will.
Okay.
Just wear your helmet for the whole day from the moment you get up, Alwyn. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Well,
could I ask another
yeah.
question? It may be silly, but am I allowed to like wear earphones, listen
No.
to music, or maybe it's not safe? No.
No, you can't listen to earphones for kind of two reasons. One, you can't hear your competitors around you, and two, you can't hear the marshals as well. And the third cool reason is you don't want to wear earphones because there's cool atmosphere, there's people cheering you, there's your comrades, your colleagues are shouting on. So you want to hear that. It's more about absorbing yourself and all the senses.
Sure. Okay.
Okay, but
Cool.
good question. All right, Simon, will I go on to my bit?
Yeah, there was one last thing. We'll also be sending out a race brief in advance, and we suggest that everybody reads the race brief. We're going to make it shorter this year. It's a bit like War and Peace at the moment, but it is an absolute must that you read the race brief. Cool. Sorry, bye.
No worries. Thank God we're paying me by the hour. Actually, we're not paying me at all. Okay, so right, I am, as I said, just a couple of small points. Again, just to remember, I'm Coach Steve or Steven Moody from Smart Endurance Solutions. I'm a long-time Piranha member. Actually, I was one of the founding members of Piranha. I've since given up the corporate world and become a full-time coach because I was just making too much money. It was awful. So I decided to go back and give back to the world and become just a better person. I'll do life coaching later on. So I'm going to talk to some key things you need to know, some key training tips and all the rest. And I'm also definitely going to promote my YouTube channel because if you follow that, you're going to be just a better person in life generally. But a couple of small points that Simon has brought. I also don't take myself way too seriously. That's why the lads love me. A couple of small points that we've covered, but I just want to emphasize them again. For the swimmers, you'll definitely need a wetsuit. You'll need goggles and a cap. Okay. That's your core piece of equipment. In terms of what I'd also recommend is something warm and to dry yourself off and put your hoodie on, whatever. You don't want to be standing around in the relay tent waiting for your teammates to finish. So some dry to get yourself ready to run up that finish chute. As Simon mentions, there's a 30-minute cutoff. And also, as Cahill's pointed out, each swimmer will receive a swim cap as part of registration, which you need to wear because that will identify what wave or how we're going to put you into the water. So that's key. Bikers, helmet and bike. We discussed that already. You again, whether you want to use clip-in pedals or you want to use those old metal pedals, whichever you use, whatever you have at this point in time will be good. You do not need to go out and buy a new bike. You do not need to go out and buy a brand new helmet. Whatever you've trained in is going to be absolutely sufficient. As Simon said, you cannot touch the bike in transition until you have your helmet on, or else that's all when she's getting her yellow card. And then you have to rack the bike before you hand over the chip. You can't cycle up to your friend and hand it over. It'd be way faster, but it'd be kind of cheating. So running shoes and appropriate clothing, whatever you've run in, whatever's comfortable, and whatever. But again, no phones. Even if you use track on Strava, you can't use that because it's deemed a communication device and could distract you. Again, health and safety. No headphones. But as I said, you want to listen to people cheering. You want to listen to your teammates telling you to hurry up because the beer is getting warm. So this is why, and also health and safety. They're the key points. Any questions are there? Okay, the question from Julia Finn. Yes, smartwatches are absolutely okay, like Apple Watches, etc. If you use them to track your GPS and your pace, etc. Absolutely.
Steve, is it draft legal race? So TT bikes aren't allowed, are they?
It's not draft legal. You could use a T. There's no restriction on TT bikes. But again, if you've not used a TT bike in training and you don't have one, don't start it on race day. That fair enough, Simon?
Oh, 100%. Although Rob of Ireland, I think, is probably thinking about going out and buying one now. Anyway, but yes, you can use a TT bike, but it is not a draft legal race.
Yeah.
So there's no drafting.
Okay, because last time I did DCT, we weren't allowed to use TT bikes. So that's a change. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
John is asking about a specific type of bike that's very fast and very expensive. But again, if you have whatever bike you use a hybrid, you used a mountain bike, you've used a road bike, whatever you train on is absolutely perfect. John has just got notions. Okay, right. So some items about I would advise for your last few weeks training, okay? For the swimmers, I would recommend, I know you've been swimming in the pool and you've been doing great work there, but now is the time to get into the wetsuit and get into the open water because swimming in a pool versus swimming in the river is going to be very different. The wetsuit gives you a extra bit of flotation. It actually can be a little bit easier for some people, a little bit more tiring, but you very much need to have your wetsuit, try it out somewhere safe with friends, and then you actually just get used to swimming up to 500, 600 meters. So you're just going to be comfortable on race day. You can go over that, but the bare minimum you should be covering around 500 meters. So you know you've got the endurance and you'll improve your stroke and you'll be able to come out of the water and hand over that chip. It's vital you get some open water swimming practice in the next few weeks. But as I said, safety is paramount. Do not go off down to the beach and decide you're going to go swim on your own. You got to team up with some buddies. You got to team up with, make sure if you're going to swim on the beach, make sure you know the lifeguard, ask the currents, etc. But do get in. It's a vital skill to prepare beforehand. Cyclists, if you're near Dublin, go out on the course, as in you should be covering easily around 20 to 30 kilometers on your sort of your easy kind of Sunday long weekend cycles. But if you do have the option of coming down and cycling up the Khyber and getting used to what the gradient is, definitely do that. We have a wonderful facility in Phoenix Park on our doorstep. It'd be mad not to try it out. But also remember, when you're cycling during the weekend, there's pedestrians, etc., which won't be on the day because that will be all closed off and it'll be your playground. But definitely try it out. I would also recommend that if you have a chance during the midweek, you go out and not only train at the type of pace you might cycle at on the day, but you put in a couple of efforts, as in you try to go as hard as you can for 10 minutes, take it easy, go as hard as you can for 10 minutes, because that will actually build up your ability to go faster on the day and catch all those guys from Mercer or Meta or whoever we're chasing, or who are we trying to be, or AIB. Yeah, we want to beat AIB or whatever your competitor is in this corporate world. Again, and in terms of actually practicing eating on the bike, you don't really need to do that. It is 20K. It's not something you need to worry about nutrition wise. Runners, you should be comfortably covering between 3 to 4 to 5K in your long, slow, easy runs where you're just getting out and you're covering the distance. Do that at the weekends. In between midweek, I would recommend that you try doing even some short, sharp stuff like some hill repeats where you find a bit of a gradient and you run up as hard as you can, jog down, repeat that 4 to 6 times. Try to do some interval training where you do was it hard running up the side of a football pitch? You go around the other side and come back. Again, that has the same concept of the long, slow runs give you an ability to build up your aerobic stamina. The short, fast stuff kind of gets you a little bit of speed, gives you gear as such. Okay. I'm just gonna pick up a question beforehand. Alex, hypothetically, if someone, not me, don't worry, Alex, we're not doing it, wanted to start a running training and they're not regular on the roads or do any running whatsoever, what advice do you have training from now until race day, hypothetically? Okay, well, for Mr. Hypothetical, what I would recommend is that you start out almost with a walk run strategy, where you build up, like, for example, At the next couple of weekends, you plan to do 500 meters walking, 500 meters running, and do that until you cover 2 3K, and that will be your big session on the Saturday. The next weekend, you add on another 500 meters of running, and the next weekend after that, you add up. So it's very much a slow progression to build up to getting to that 5K, and work that back. Get out and do some very, very light jogging during midweek, maybe even 10, 15, 20 minutes light jogging, just to get the blood flow going, or even just a long walk. That's building up your aerobic base. So this is how you can slowly get to the point where you can quite comfortably cover 5K. And yes, it is. How many weeks are we out, Simon, for the race? He's
was on mute. Sorry, we're 4 weeks out, so you've actually got plenty of time between now and then to do like how to find action and that type of thing. So, but that's a run walk strategy. So
yeah, and in fairness, Simon and myself have done that even for the longer distance triathlons, and it works really well. Okay, cool. But good question. Okay, so any other questions about training wise in terms of even if you're starting from a low base, what should you do, etc. People have their equipment. People do have wetsuits, etc. Helmets, yada yada. Okay. In the last few days pre-race, this is your kind of Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, before the race. I would test the exact equipment you're going to use on race day, as in like if you may have just bought a pair of runners and you're breaking them in now, make sure you test them and beforehand that they're working well. You may have put your bike in for a service and it was just make sure that the gears are working well. You might have bought a new smartwatch, make sure it syncs with the GPS, etc. But what the key thing here is nothing new on race day. So even if someone turns around and says, listen, I'm going to give you these Nike Alpha Fly 3s, which are by these super shoes that make you faster, apparently. Well, they do actually. And they go, look, but I want you to run 5K in them in the race tomorrow. You got to say no because your body hasn't broken them in. You'll end up with blisters, etc. Trust in what you've known, trust in what you've done your training sessions in. So nothing new on race day. We advise that people will taper kind of 2 3 days out before a sprint. Tapering is when you reduce your training volume right down to allow your body to be like a coiled spring come race day. So for example, you might in your typical training week, you might have always run on a Monday, Wednesday, or Friday, etc., or you swam on a Tuesday or Thursday. Just knock that down to one session or 1 or 2 sessions a week because that allows your body to rest and be ready to give it your absolute all in Dublin City Triathlon. Work out the logistics and know the route. Again, make sure that they actually read the athlete brief that comes out in terms of if you need to work out if you're coming from Swords, how long will it take you to drive to the car park to mean that you get there in time to get a slot. Work out with your teammates. What time are you arriving there? Are we going to grab a coffee beforehand? Make it a social event, but make sure you all have a very set schedule and therefore you're not turning up last minute panicking. I haven't got my time and chip. Who's registering? I thought you were going to register, and I thought you were going to register, etc. I also would recommend that you watch clever content on YouTube. We highly recommend at Coach Steve Moody, which is someone can put that in the chat there, Simon. It's very important to get my link in there. I do a lot of YouTube. I'm a big influencer. Well, I'm not really. I'm trying to be. But there's if you check out my YouTube channel, there's kind of cool hints and tips about just in general triathlon, etc. And yes, shameless.com is another one of my websites, however. But I'm more interested in you joining and following my YouTube channel because that will make you better athletes in general. So I'm going to stick it in the chat. Thank you. Okay, so we've got there the day before the race, night before Christmas. Did you used to sleep before Santa was coming? No, you didn't. But I do recommend you get early to bed. You will be nervous because it's a cool challenge you've taken on board. You're gonna have lots of energy. But do get to bed early, allow yourself. And again, because you're going to be getting up, if you're going to have to get to the guard boat club before kind of what you call it, 6:30 or 6, whatever your schedule is. So get as much good sleep as you can the night before. You do not need to carb load. I think lots of people join these sports because they can feel that they can eat their body weight in pasta or potatoes the night before or pizza. Not necessary. You'll only feel bloated, etc., and all the rest, and won't operate well. Um, the so just eat normally. You'll get make sure you get a good decent breakfast because that's going to be the fuel that you're going to use in the day. Not and you won't need to do any fueling in either swim, your bike, or your run because it's short, it's sharp, and you'll be getting all about just getting to the handover point or the finish line as fast as possible. I do recommend you lay out all your equipment and sort of make sure, okay, you don't want to wake up in the morning with a 5 a.m. It's like, all right, okay, where's my runners? Oh my God, where's my runners? And you spend half an hour. Just lay it out. Where's my heart rate monitor? If you run with a heart rate monitor, or cycle with a heart rate monitor, is my Garmin charged? Is my my smartwatch charged? Do all that the night before because you're not going to be out drinking or anything or dancing. Maybe you will, but not recommended either. So just make sure you get everything prepped, and it means it's a nice stress-free get to meet up with your teammates and just be all ready to go. Again, don't expect a great night's sleep. I always get nervous before races, regardless of whatever distance I'm doing. I just try to get as much as I can. Race day logistics. Work out your logistics with your team. Who's your swimmer? Who's your cyclist with? Where do we go? Walk the route. Ask the questions on the morning. And is this where we hand off the chip? Okay, where's our bike going to be placed? Okay, we'll stand here. That means we can actually cheer you on the course, etc. Work it out and support each other as a team. Know your race day plan. You'll know this from your training. As I said, if it takes you whatever 35 minutes to cover a 5K, are you going to try and go harder than that, get a PB? Or what does it take you typically to swim 750 meters in a pool? Am I going to try and beat that, or am I going to just make sure that I just cover the distance? Have an idea or strategy in your head what will be a good, bad, or just like an okay outcome, and plan accordingly. Communicate. As a relay team, it's absolutely vital that you're talking to one another. So okay, right. As I said, listen, by the way, guys, you need to get the swim start. Is the bike set up? Look after one another, and make sure you know when you're coming in. And also communicate to your fellow athletes, cheer people on, as in because it does give you a big boost when you're talking and someone's giving you a cheer and clapping the hands and all the rest, like etc. So share that, play it forward, play it backwards, etc. And feed off the energy, which you will absolutely be immersed in our cool triathlon community. Thank a volunteer. We all the people running DCT are all members and all volunteers. We don't, and none of us get paid for it. It's all just because we whatever we make out of the race goes straight back into our club and helps with our training and the rest. So whilst we're delighted to absolutely make sure you have a cool race experience, and this is how triathlon in Ireland kind of maintains itself. All these clubs run these races to help fund themselves and create better triathletes, etc. We're all volunteers. We would have probably been there the day before. It'll be probably at a really early start as well. And we will be 100% enthusiastic, 100% supportive, 100% sending you positive energy. It really means a lot if you guys even just say thanks very much as well. And if anything goes wrong, don't take it out on a volunteer. Ask us. We will help you solution whatever problem you're facing. Enjoy what you're taking on as a cool challenge. It will feel hard at times. It will kind of feel, oh my God, what's my life choice on this one? Why did I let John sign me up for this madness? I guarantee you, once you get through it and you get a wave of endorphins, and this is how essentially a lot of us started off this. I started off in DCT over 20 years ago doing try or try. I joined the club. I've just love triathlon. It's a wonderful community. We're supportive, we're energetic, we're annoyingly talkative about the whole thing. But it's a wonderful way to build a lifestyle and all the rest and have fun with your friends. And as I said, what I suspect you may end up signing up for the next challenge afterwards. We get a lot of people joining Piranha as our club afterwards, or a lot of people reach out to me and said, what can I do for this race and all the rest. Focus on the first one, enjoy your race, and then talk to other triathletes and all the rest and ask where they go and what they do. And just make sure you absolutely embrace the challenge and just feed off the energy on the day. Okay, that's all from me, Simon. Is there anything, oh, there you go. Do you want to go through what's next, or do we have any questions on the training or the last minute prep, folks? Please do pass it on. Okay, or even a show of hands, thumbs up. I know.
I think just in relation to the training, like you've all got kind of a main point of contact within your organizations. If you want to kind of direct them towards, let's say, John or myself and ID Pal. We can ask Steve directly, or we might even know some of the answers ourselves. So any questions you don't feel like asking now, just please ask. As Steve said, like, we love talking about triathlon. It's generally pretty easy to identify who is a triathlete and who isn't, because they will tell you. So just in terms of what's next, and there will be an online race brief 1 week before the race. Registration is Friday the 23rd between 4 and 8, and then Saturday the 24th between 7 and 8:15 in the morning. And then it's all fun and games. It's on to the race. Everything that you've been training for so far. I think from me, and definitely Carl, who's feeling a bit under the weather, and Owen from an organising perspective, big, huge, massive thanks to Steve Moody for taking time out of his pretty busy week to talk to you guys about the best ways to prepare for DCT. DCT, by the way, is one of the only triathlons that's actually held in Dublin City. There's triathlons held on the outskirts, but it's the only city centre triathlon, so we're pretty lucky to be able to hold it. I also want to thank everybody that's joined this call. You've obviously you've purchased your corporate entries. We intend to look after you as best we possibly can, but thank you as well for participating, because it does make it a great event for us, as and the rest of the Piranha family. So thank you for that. And as I say, any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Steve is going to get a link together to share this video with you guys if you kind of want to watch any parts of it back. So yeah, that's it.
Sorry, Simon, I have a question. I don't know if anyone will know the answer to. Are we allowed to go down to the river or up to the river and get in before, to train in advance?
So it's funny. I was actually Rob, who works with me in IDPL, asked the same question. We would recommend not doing that. There's still people on the river training with pretty sharp oars, because it is obviously where most of the boat clubs are based. The only thing I can recommend in terms of trying to get like training is to go to Glendalough. You can swim up there, or just have a go at the sea, but the buoyancy is slightly different. I know Glendalough is a bit of a trek, but just for anybody, if you are trying to kind of replicate that training, I would advise against going down. You may get shouted at quite loudly by very grumpy rowers, but it is up to yourselves. We advise against it.
Yeah, and there's also something. There's also lots of swans in there, which we have seen people. The swans have actually chase some swimmers. So, but don't worry, all the rowers and the swans will be gone come race day. And if again, as Simon said, if you get into any body of open water that's safe, the sea, a lake, etc., and all the rest, it'll be adequate. Training to make sure that you're just getting used to what the wetsuit feels like. Make sure it's nice and comfortable. Because when you get into a wetsuit at the start, it can quite feel, if it's new to it, it can feel like it's quite tight on your chest. But even that's just getting used to that feeling. I've also put in my email address again. If people have any training questions, feel free to ask. As I said, I'm a very loyal Piranha, and I'm always happy to help out in DCT. So it's you. I promise to be no sales pitch. You guys eventually come to me. But again, subscribe to the YouTube channel for God's sake. How am I gonna beat Mr. Beast if you people don't hit subscribe?
Right. On that point, before Steve talks,
oh God, he's relentless.
You don't know what it's like on
25,000 followers, John. That's kind of,
now.
this is. I have to keep growing. It's all about growth. Don't we know anything, Immersa? It's a KPI.
Cool. Okay. There's no more questions. We'll leave it there. Steve, thanks a million again. Thank you to everybody for joining. Really, really appreciate it. And if I'm not talking to you before race day, the best of luck. Thanks, Mel.
Guys.
Cheers.
Well
Thanks,
done.
everyone.
Cheers.
Bye.
Thanks.
Oh, right, okay.